I don't know what hit harder, the betrayal or walking into my own home and feeling like I didn't belong there anymore. Everything was where I left it, but something was off. Too neat, too untouched, like someone had tried to erase me and got real close to succeeding. See, I only live in Pinewood Springs a few months out of the year. I work offshore, technical consultant for drilling rigs, travel a lot. It's a quiet cabin, tucked at the edge of the woods, and I always thought it was safe. I never really had problems here until Margaret Coleman decided she didn't like the way I existed. Margaret, president of the HOA, self-appointed, I later found out, is one of those people who weaponize rules. You know the type. Purple cardigan, clipboard, zero sense of humor. She'd wave when I first moved in, ask about my truck, smile that tight smile of someone who's already memorized the square footage of your lot. I didn't think much of her until I installed security cameras. Being gone so often, I wanted to keep an eye on my place. Nothing fancy, just motion sensors, a smart lock, a few discreet cams under the eaves. But the day after I left for a job in the Gulf, I got an email certified violation notice, $200 fine. Apparently I broke the community's aesthetic code. Cameras not matching the exterior palette, she said. Margaret's exact words were, "You are way too often to understand the spirit of community living." I didn't even know that was a thing. But then it got personal. While I was gone, I checked my footage and saw her, Margaret, bringing people onto my property. Not once, not twice, but multiple times. Some of them had measuring tapes, others were taking pictures. One guy even tried my door. It looked like a real estate showing of my own house. I stared at the screen thinking, what the hell is this? I flew back to confront her, burned a week of vacation, dropped close to $1,000 just to get home, and when I pulled into the driveway, there she was, smiling like she'd just returned my cat. She had a landscaping crew with her, chainsaws in hand. "About that tree," she said, pointing to the red maple I'd planted in memory of my dad, "you're going to need a special permit, section 12.4.7 of the handbook." I asked to see the handbook. She said, "We're updating it." I asked how she knew it was for my dad. She smiled and walked off. That's when I started digging and found out she'd gotten into my HOA file. She had my social security number, emergency contacts, financial records, everything. I realized this wasn't just a nosy neighbor, this was someone running an operation. From that point on, it was open war. She posted about me in the community Facebook group, not by name, of course, but some residents think they can buy a home and ignore the values that keep this neighborhood strong. Suddenly people stopped talking to me. Trash cans got knocked over. My mailbox got scratched with the word absentee. Neighbors who used to wave just didn't. Then came the sheriff's call. I was off the coast of Algeria when I got the message, "Suspicious activity reported at your residence. We're going to have to force entry if you can't open the door remotely." I tried to explain about the security system, offered remote access. But Margaret had already told them I'd been unreachable for weeks, claimed strange cars were showing up and loud music was playing. None of that was true. She'd somehow gotten my override codes. When they broke in, they found nothing but dust and silence, and I got slapped with the repair bill. And as if that wasn't enough, I found out she'd posted my cabin for sale online. Real listing, full interior photos, fake name, fake agent profile, listed at $280,000, way below market. The photos, taken during her unauthorized visits. She was setting up to sell my house while I was thousands of miles away. Let that sink in. So when I came home and saw her on my lawn, yelling at cops that I was breaking in, I lost it a little. But I stayed calm enough to show the deed, utility bills, my ID, even the mortgage statement. Officer Rodriguez was professional, but he was confused, especially when Margaret pulled out a forged email where I supposedly hired her to be my realtor. I couldn't believe it. She faked an entire backstory, said I was struggling financially, needed help, and then tried to frame me for backing out of a deal. That's when I knew this wasn't just harassment. This was real estate fraud. But I wasn't alone. My neighbor Tom, 68, Vietnam vet, keeps to himself, showed up that night with a bottle of bourbon and said, I think you need to hear something. Turns out Margaret had run the same playbook on 2 other families, the Weatherbys, who got hit with $8,000 in fake fines and moved to Arizona, and the Patels, who got reported to CPS over noise complaints because their kids had a trampoline. And then, just when I thought I had helped, this woman named Sarah Mitchell showed up. Said she used to be on the board, had debt on Margaret, wanted to help. She gave me emails, statements, victim list, and I believed her. Until I saw her on my security footage meeting Margaret in my driveway the next morning, pointing at my house, holding my documents. She was feeding her everything. That night, Margaret filed a restraining order against me. Claimed I was harassing community members. Sarah backed it up. I almost gave up, but I had one more card. See, I install surveillance systems for a living. And I had hidden cameras inside the house. Margaret didn't know. And those cameras caught everything. Her and Sarah going through my drawers, talking about fake listings, how many absentee owners lived nearby, and even throwing around the phrase a 5-year plan. So I played her. I called her and said I wanted to settle things, pay a fine, just make it go away. She took the bait, invited the whole HOA to a resolution meeting. Showed up in her best purple cardigan, folder in hand, thinking I was about to beg. I brought a projector. First slide an email from the real HOA president, Bob Chen, who now lives in Florida and had never transferred his authority. Margaret Coleman has no legal claim to the position of president. Next slide, bank records. HOA fees raised without vote, money going to Margaret's personal account, not a community fund. Spa days, handbags, a new BMW. Then the footage her breaking into my home, Sarah standing beside her, listing documents, private files, full commentary like they were narrating a true crime episode. Margaret tried to spin it, said I'd authorized her, claimed she was protecting property values. But then she snapped. In front of 30 neighbors, she screamed, he's never here. People like him don't deserve homes like this. I was going to turn it into something better. That was it. The cops were waiting outside. I tipped them off ahead of time. She was arrested on the spot, charged with trespassing, fraud, conspiracy, and misuse of personal data. Turns out, she'd done this in 2 other communities before Pinewood. Got away with it both times. This time, she didn't. Pinewood held its first real HOA election. Tom got elected. The red maple I planted for my dad. It's still standing, and now it's at the center of a community garden we built together. Sarah confessed to conspiracy and was banned from any HOA leadership in the state. Every dollar Margaret stole got returned to residents. Now, every time I sit on my porch, I don't feel like an outsider anymore. The woman who tried to erase me is gone, and the neighborhood she tried to control. It's finally found its voice. And now I'm curious, if you were in my shoes, would you have fought back? Or would you have walked away? Drop a comment. Tell me what you'd do if your own community turned against you and one woman thought she could steal everything you built. Because I tell you this. Justice isn't always polite, but man, it's worth the wait.